What have you been up to?
I've been riding on a daydream. Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out RV Daydream, and it's the next day from the snowplow job that I showed you. And I think we're finished with the snow. We got a little bit falling down, but man, last night was rough. I posted something on our Facebook page. If you guys want to check that out, it's under RV Daydream. I'm sure there's a link here somewhere that you can click either in the description or on our homepage on YouTube here. But it's basically me driving through some crappy weather last night, and there was definitely some snowfall. I don't know how the wind is out here. I do know that it's kind of cold. I think it might be 16 out. I've already swept this a couple times, but yeah, it piled up. My daughter's car was completely clean before this snowfall had started yesterday, or 2 nights ago basically. So I'll have to clean all that stuff off eventually too. All right, let's get to work. What a difference a day makes. Still a little windy, but most of the snow is gone. It's 32 degrees, and that March sun is doing a good job melting all this stuff. Yeah, so the sun's come out and has melted a ton of stuff. I did a video, I think it was last year, and talked about how I hated the way the snow appeared to be so nice when it first fell, and then turns into muddy mess after the fact. Well, we got the muddy mess today. I did get a chance to hose off the truck though. Heidi's off today, so we are going to take this opportunity to sit down and give you guys an update and talk about something that her and I discussed this week. Alright guys, so Heidi's joined me. Got to sit down actually and talk to you guys, and it looks relatively nice out. It was a really sunny day. It's melted a lot of snow, as you saw. Actually got to hose off the truck real quick, get some of that road sawed off. It's going to be in the 30s for the next few days. Then we got about 4 days in the 40s as the highs. Then we drop just a little bit into the 30s, and then I think we get into the 40s, going into the 50s. The third week of March, at the end of that, I think is going to be at that point in time when we go ahead and pull the camper off for the last week of March, because I'm looking at mid 40s to 50s for that entire week. I don't have a problem at that point with whatever snow may fall, because we need to get in there and do measuring for furniture. We actually looked at some furniture today, and although Life and Serenity mentioned a nice recliner, gave us a link and everything, I think that is very nice. I'd like to get my hands on it and see. I mean, but it's got really good measurements. Might have to do that. All things that we need to consider, but we need to get inside the camper and measure. So one of my previous videos, getting off total topic here, a couple of my videos, I've talked about new trucks versus used trucks, and new RVs versus old RVs, and gas trucks versus diesel trucks. All those things are so, subjectable to your situation and how you feel. And I basically explained how I felt about the whole process and why I went or plan on going in the direction that I do. And all that stuff's fluid. We could change at any point in time for sure. But The one thing I wanted to bring up is just within the last couple weeks, I bought a book from a YouTube channel that I watch called The Fast Lane Truck. Here's the book. It's called Truck Nuts, and it's written by the guys, and they do a lot of testing of trucks. They go up the Ike Gauntlet, which is the Rocky Mountain Interstate. It's 8 miles of road, pulling whatever the load of the the truck can handle. Which, like a half-ton Ford, they put 9,000 pounds behind it, and they go up the 7% grade for 8 miles, and it's just over 11,000 feet. So that truck is really struggling to get air in there to make its explosions, to get it the engine to propel. Anyways, a lot of good information for people that don't know that much about vehicles. This is a real layman's term type book, and they talk about all the testing, especially if you're looking for a new truck. They give you a lot of details, but I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but I'll put a link down below if you want to click it and see if this is something that you might want to read. If you're interested in your tow vehicle and what's best for you, I say get this. It's kind of like a mini Bible for people that don't know that much about trucks. It's written really well. So we wanted to discuss something that her and I talked about, and what is that?
Mobile income.
Yeah, mobile income and how much money we need while on the road, even if it's not actually mobile income, but it's traditional. Everybody, I think, falls into the same work habit because it works. We're looking at how much money we would make if we worked the sugar beet harvest, and all these estimates, I do high on the cost and low on the income, meaning I show that we earn a little bit less than what we probably would, and we have to spend a little bit more than we probably would. But it works, that gives us a buffer as far as if any incidentals come up, they're usually taken care of. So working the sugar beet harvest for a couple of weeks, that basically yields Heidi and I a couple of $1,000s each. Because people are looking at making about $1,000 a week working that sugar beet harvest. Mm-hmm. And, so that's $4,000 combined. Then we would move on to Amazon Camper Force and work 2 months. And on the low end of that, I'm showing that her and I would make roughly $2,000 each for each month. So that would give us a total of $12,000 that we would earn over 3 months. So let's say we have that $12,000 in the bank, not including our mobile data, whatever it may take for our phones,
Insurance,
her health insurance, our insurance on our vehicles. Not taking in any of that because that could be all over the board for people. Like in my case, I don't pay anything for insurance for me. And as far as our vehicles, they're older, so the insurance is relatively inexpensive. Now that might change once we're full-time, and we'll have to see how all that works out. But still, not taking into consideration those things, but taking in consideration for food and gasoline, and then lodging, basically. For those 3 months that we work at those places, it's free. Then, after we're all said and done and have that $12,000 that we earned, we just start going out and enjoying ourselves. We calculated out $1,200 a month for food, gas, and lodging. Let's say $800 a month for campgrounds, staying at campgrounds, and $400 a month for gas and food. We think that we're pretty close on that, and we might be off a little bit, but the thing is I believe that the gas amount could go up if we're traveling more, but then the lodging part would go down, basing it off a monthly rate. Now, if we stayed at any one place for 3 months to 6 months, they usually give discounts. Mm-hmm. So $800 a month is on the high side. We really think that's the high side of most of these campgrounds, even with campgrounds that charge for electricity. I mean, I see a lot of them that charge $95 maximum for electricity. I just can't imagine us being 30 amp that we would use as much as we would at home. I mean, our electricity bill at home's, a little bit on the high side, but we've got so much electrical going on in there, it's ridiculous. So I can't see really, even, with all that going on, like I say, $1,200 a month and let's say we don't get any breaks in our lodging, and our gas we spend, our food we spend, we still have $4,800 left over. That's $400 to spend, a month that we have. I really can't see how anybody can't survive on the road for $1,200 a month. As far as those things are concerned, again, your insurance is a big one. I mean, between, two different vehicles, a towing vehicle and the RV, and then health insurance, between those three insurance premiums that have to be paid, that's a decent amount. Now, as far as cellular data, I mean, you're throwing in another $100 there.
Maybe two.
Yeah, maybe 200. So, that $400 a month extra that we were talking about, that's going to disappear really fast. I mean, whenever you put in those other extras. But, again, we're going high on all our stuff. I mean, if you boondock for 2 months, you got $1,600.
Right.
So, there's extra money. I mean, there's your gas for at least a couple of trips. Plus, I do have mobile income, like I've always mentioned, and that mobile income is just minimal, but it'll work for us. I mean, this is something that we discussed, again, amongst ourselves, and I think that it's probably something that most people should talk about. I would think that a lot of people say, oh, just go out there and do it. And we, don't get me wrong, her and I's on that boat. I mean, the one thing that we know is that no matter what we decided to do, if we just put our minds to it, it gets done. I mean, I can't think of anything that we wanted to do and we didn't do it. I mean, it just works out. I mean, if you put an effort in, I know it's really tough for like kids of that are our kids' age, and maybe a little older. I know some millennials sometimes they struggle with that too, because they were brought up a little bit different. For the most part, this is kind of a blanket statement as far as millennials. I mean, the workforce of the millennials, they're just different. They were brought up different. I mean, my kids were brought up different. Both of my kids work part-time. And when we were in high school, we had part-time jobs, and sometimes a couple. As soon as we started working, it was full-time. I mean, and not only that, but it was overtime. Mm-hmm. And we did that for years. And here, our kids are, 20 and 21, and they're making it on part-time. But, I discuss it in detail with them, and both of them like, oh, I don't want to waste my life working, just working all week long. I work 24 hours a week. That's enough. Or I work 30 hours a week. That's plenty. So as far as us getting out and doing the work, it wouldn't be hard to do. And again, all these campgrounds, $800 a month. I'm talking about every month, $800 a month. If we become camper host, there's $800 a month in our pocket.
Right.
So again, I just can't see nothing but pluses. But the whole idea behind this video was that we discussed some numbers. Those are the numbers we came up with. Again, when we got more details about how much cellular data we need and what our insurance costs are exactly, of course, we'll update you guys with that whenever we get into that situation. And I'll talk about how much income we have coming in. It's not a secret. I mean, there's nobody on this end of the camera that's going to be wealthy, that's going to be rich, and I want to hide all my funds. It doesn't make a difference, because there's going to be people that say, man, you got plenty, and there's other people going to say, man, you ain't got crap.
I do have a question for you all out there, and if anybody knows how much or where I can get health care out on the road. Suggestions.
She doesn't have any pre-existing conditions. She's under 50. She is a smoker. That's the worst
that's
condition.
That's probably going to change.
She's hoping that would change.
$6 a pack a day.
I know.
Guess what? That cuts into the money.
Her connection with the Indian reservations and getting cigarettes for cheap has been gone for a while, and she is really feeling that $6 a day.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
It's ridiculous.
So we want you guys to, because of this conversation that we're having, to, kind of get your juices flowing in your brains amongst yourself, to where maybe you guys will talk about how much do you think you would need on the road. Some of you are full-timers that might be watching the channel. So what do you use? What do you spend? And everybody's different.
Yeah.
I mean, that whole boondocking thing, now you're just talking about gas for the vehicle to get around, to be able to get your water,
Food.
and the money that might cost for water, and the money it might cost to dump if you have to pay to dump, and then, of course, your food, and I know I'm forgetting something. Oh, and like in our situation, gas, it would cost us to run the generator, or propane. I mean, when it comes right down to it, that's your essentials of having the home, and the place to keep your home. So that's all the interaction with the RV to make it live. I guess that's probably a good way to phrase it. What's it cost to make your RV live and livable? Meaning, what's it take for it to be able to sit somewhere safely and be able to be maintained, and you have all the niceties that you need. And then there's all the other expenditures, the food, the insurance, your mobile data, entertainment, those things. I mean, that's all kind of extra, but they're also needed. That's a monthly need. Now, doesn't mean you can't turn off your mobile internet for a little while if you're really pushed, and then go hunt down Wi-Fi somewhere. But yeah, I just thought that maybe we'd put down, these little thoughts that we had. We kind of scribbled them down on a piece of paper, and it was amazing whenever I wrote it out and I seen $12,000, and we added up all this stuff, and it's like, well, we still have $4,800 that could go. So I mean, that if we wanted to, we could say $800 a month for lodging, $800 a month for gas, and
Anything
food.
else, right?
Man, that's a lot of money. And then as soon as you stop and you boondock, or your camper host, you're saving any more, even more of that.
It surely has to cost less than what it costs us now to live here.
Yeah, although...
Because if it cost about the same, that's crazy.
Yeah, and I can't...
I heard some people say that their average cost is almost the same in some videos.
See, our issue is, which is unique probably to us, it doesn't cost a lot to live here.
No.
Our house payment's like $450 a month. Our taxes are... They're more now.
They're $700 a year.
Yeah, our taxes are $700 the year for the whole year, not a half, for the year. We don't have any school levies or anything like that. Our sales tax is kind of high in this area. I think it's
7.5.
7.5 or 7.25, something like that. It bounces back and forth. But to live here doesn't cost that much money. And for Heidi to drive to work, she's 7 miles.
7.8.
7.8 miles from work, so she does basically 15 miles a day in a car that gets 30 plus miles to the gallon, probably closer to 35 miles to the gallon. And that's really all the expenditure that we have as far as the house. Our utilities, it's natural gas, and then we have electric. Of course, the electric goes up in the summer with the central AC running, but still, it's not expensive. So for us to move into the mobile lifestyle, it's not like somebody who rents, or has a home in New York, and they're paying $2,000 a month to live in their house, and then utilities and everything else, and then they go mobile and say, oh my God, I'm saving so much money. I don't see us saving a lot of money from what we're currently in, but I definitely see that we can cut quite a bit of it, and we have more control over it. I mean, we can't take and decide to move the house somewhere to where it's not going to cost us any mortgage for a few months. It just won't work. Where if you're in an RV, you can. You could go boondock, and you could spend elsewhere. So it's a nice, it's a nice worry. I mean, it kind of gets you excited thinking about it, because it's kind of like one of those, it's a nice problem to have, being able to figure it out. We thought we'd just kind of touch base of what we discussed. And again, kind of get your thoughts on the whole thing. So what to take away from this is we think $1,200 a month is how much it takes to make our RV livable or live in. And then our personal cost and expenses, will vary and cost a little bit more. And those being insurance for health, automotive, RV, and mobile data. And then Heidi's kind of curious what you guys pay or what be a good way to go with personal health care. With us in the situation we're at right now, Heidi, she's making enough money that she's paying off all of her debt that she might have set up. And we have a lot of money gets kind of banked into the house that's above and beyond. I mean, the house value is definitely higher than what's owed on it. Mm-hmm. So whenever we do decide to go and get rid of everything and get rid of the house, that's going to put us in the positive and have that on the road. And then, of course, if she ever needed to, she could borrow against her 401k and have extra money that way, but she would really like to just keep that. And we'll be earning some money at those jobs. Mm-hmm. $12,000 a year between us, so that means we'd have to pay $6,000 income tax on $6,000 earned each. And of course then I have mobile income that I've got to pay income tax on every year, but it would still it still comes out to where we would be ahead, I think. All right, so hopefully I've chopped the video up, made it a little shorter because it always seems to be pretty long, and hopefully this gives you something to think about and something to make your juices flow, your brain juices flow, and make you want to talk about it with whoever you're sitting with. So that's it for us, and as always, we hope to see you out there.
Bye.
Bye.